Truth Frequency Radio.
When you finally boil it all down, magic is imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Heist Click and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never prepared for. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. Shine as my heart beats a rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die. What is up, everyone? It's your man Frank Castle, Sorcerer Supreme, right here each and every Saturday night on truthfrequencyradio.com.
I'm going to get him after this.
I'm joined by my co-host, an ethereal translator, Paula Milo.
Hey, everyone.
Shout-outs to Chris and Cherie Gio. Without you guys, we wouldn't have the family tree in which to grow strong, sturdy branches from. And deep, deep, deep roots that are going to last infinite lifetimes moving forward. Shout outs to Ra, Eye of Ra, action-packed show. And shout outs to Laureen Jennings, Eye to Eye, Heart to Heart on YouTube podcast, that Eye to Eye, Heart to Heart podcast she does with Holly. I brought back the I Am We Are Fearless podcast this week.
Oh, yeah.
I finally got everything together and then decided to go forth with the Fearless Conversations. And that would be different members from the Fearless TFR group. Shout outs to the Fearless family that have stepped forward and started teaching pretty much.
Yeah.
Stepping out from behind the curtain. And they're amazing people. And to hear the stories, just when I thought I had it rough or weird or interesting, along comes just a billion, zillion other people that are just intensely been through so much more, have so much more experience, life experience. A lot of negative things early in life, to flip them, and later in life to become positive things.
Yeah, definitely. Why don't you tell them what happened to you like 3 minutes before the show started?
So, right before the show started, you can hear it in my voice. I'm not quite 100% with everyone tonight at the moment. Which is interesting. Every cat in the neighborhood looks like it just came in my house. I guess I picked something up, and I've been having a really hard time with this new energy. For as much as we do here, and as much breathing as you do, and as much this and that, and rituals or mantras,
clearings,
or meditations, it almost feels like only during the meditative times it's helpful. And then the minute you stop doing anything and you just try to live your life or go ahead with something, it's just absolutely just way too difficult, and you want to go right back to the meditation. And I'm used to keeping that energy moving forward. I can't be in the dumps anymore. Like I hate it.
You had
I
a rough
hate
day
being-
today. It was a hard day
It's
for you.
not just that; it's this emotional output, and I know everyone's going through this. Can we close that?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
'Cause I don't wanna
Yes,
get
I
bit
so
by
it's like a
another
cat
mosquito
hotel
today.
here today.
I know that was insane what just happened. It's almost like everyone's reaching out to help or be helpful, but they, what are little kittens and animals going to do? But they surround you with that spiritual energy to uplift you. But on top of just not being able to deal with this energy and having a very, very rough time with it, I had an attachment of some kind.
Yes, you did.
It was terrible. I've been miserable for hours now. For hours. I'm not bringing this forward. I'm going to tell you what happened because it's just weird. Right, literally, it was like a minute and a half before we went on air, and Paula struck. The 5?
The singing chimes. Those are chimes.
First, she hit the bells behind me, and they're like two little UFOs, and they clang together like cabangas.
Like cymbals.
Yeah, little cymbals, and it sets off a really nice tone. I wonder if everybody could hear them if I do them right now.
I think they will.
Right, so that's really nice. That cleans the air here.
The cat just sat at attention when you did that.
Ding. So that started clearing. I felt air clearing around my head instantly, which was really wild. And I've been through this before, but it was not like I was just crying. So she took out the tuning fork.
Oh, yeah.
Paula bought me a little tuning fork, and it's great. It works.
It's 528
528 hertz. I don't know what's up with that sound and frequency, but it's gorgeous. It's just the right vibe. It just feels great. She hit it behind my head, and then I guess went down my back.
Yep.
And I literally almost threw up on the desk. I drooled out of my mouth. Terrible.
Oh, I know. I got
didn't even
scared.
get up
I
and
thought you were
clean
gonna.
myself.
I thought you were gonna get sick on the keyboard.
It came from like the deepest.
It was guttural.
Yeah.
Very guttural.
And the coughs, it started as a cough, right? And then just, and then, like, it was like violent, like crazy. And you got to keep your mouth open. If anyone out there experiences it this way, it's like when you keep your jaw tight and your mouth closed. These things, I'm going to just say it the way I feel it. They just bounce around in your head and get stuck up there. You have to like give them an escape route, the way you would
and you know what?
electricity or something.
I'm really sorry that I didn't pick up on that sooner because Frank was in this state of anger for about 6 hours today. And I'm not sure where it came from. I'm not sure what set it off. But whatever the situation may be, he was just in this state of anger. And, I ran my hands over him and I didn't see any attachments, or I didn't feel any attachments, I should say, and I let him rest. But when I hit that tuning fork, I saw something jump off of your energy.
It was
Like a shadowy something, like just jump off of you.
The brighter we shine, the more things want to attach.
But I didn't see it before when in the afternoon when this started. I didn't see it.
I didn't feel it. You ran your hands.
Or feel it. That's what I should say.
We clear each other by scanning one another, and we push out anything that needs to be. I close my eyes. My hands act. I've talked about this on the show before. Act like a scanner. I close my eyes. I could see it, and I just tune in, and I take a couple of really good looks. I know this is crazy tonight.
There are cats just coming
Everywhere.
in, jumping into the kitchen window, and I think they're checking on you to make sure you're okay.
I've never quite seen them get so active during our show. They usually run for the hills. But so your hands, my palms, act like a scanning device. You've seen people work like this online, perhaps, or you've heard about this, shaman doing things like this. You can start to see in the different layers. You got to breathe. You got to concentrate. You focus. When I close my eyes, Paula shows up as a light source. It's not Paula. So as I see her physical image, it fades away to a light source. And that light source is like floating consciousness of light. And it's like a glob of it, right? And it's just moving around in different directions, up and down, where the arms would be and stuff. And
I'm like, oh, look at that. And then you scan that, right? And it's like you go, oh, okay, that looks good. And all of a sudden you pick something up. The person takes a deep breath, or like, what was that? And you grab onto it. You say to your energy, hey, that's not supposed to be there.
You know what? You're right about that. And, thank you, chat room folks, for all your kind words about me, being, brilliant and everything. But you know what? The truth is, I should have known better sooner. And I didn't. Because I try, if I don't think it's an attachment or I don't think it's coming from Frank, I really try to leave it alone. And if he's in a bad mood, allow him to be in a bad mood, because we're all allowed to be in a bad mood. So sometimes you don't want to interfere too much. But shame on me for not knowing sooner. I should have realized that. But now we know.
I feel like parts of my body are coming back to me. It's really, really awkward. You don't realize this. Now, this is kind of what I wanted to talk about tonight, but not. The next big steps into directions, right? And here's my problem, literally right now, right? Is the next big steps after the energy increase and the energy push and the higher frequency. I'm going to assume that the next big step is learning how to dip back into the other crappy frequency and deal with this and not get stuck and trapped and re-stickered with parasites and all kinds of stuff, because I spent the day around the people I love the most and I couldn't take it. I want disconnection in the worst way from everything. I could not be in their physical presence, a whole house of my favorite people.
Well, the energy was, the energy was crazy over there today. I mean, it was just
you don't
off
understand
the charts, like just erratic and rushed and.
But I grew up in that, and I realized that that's never changed. It's progressively gotten more and more difficult because now the children are adults, so that's happening with adults and not children in the house. Right? No one's wrestling upstairs anymore. Right. Now it's grandma's sick and whatever. So the frequency never changed in that house. Now, who am I? I feel rotten about this, down to my core. I was telling you this before. I feel terrible about what I'm going to say right now, but because I don't know. I know I mean it with intent and intention, but I only going. I know you guys out there have to be going through this. But I don't want to connect to them. I don't want to be part of it. I don't, and it's not them. I think I've broken the frequency barrier because we talked about this. You said, I wish we could just, go someplace.
Oh, yeah. I get those feelings all the time. I just wish we could run away away from the world. But you can't do that.
Yeah, like we're fearless, right? We're not running away from our issues. We're upgrading. And how do we? And this is one of the things, I watch you all the time, Paula. So maybe I'll use you as the example. And you just muscle through it. You almost can't even tell when you're, I guess I know, but when you're upset or when it's really digging into you and you're just able to march through it. You see how I have to march through. I have to get way better at it. But no matter how much I ground, when I stick myself in a mud pit full of people and this is the place that raised me. I lived in that environment. I grew up. I'm good. I'm here. I'm healthy or kind of, I'm happy in the family we built. So that's the place that put me on the map. And I'm dreading the day I have to step back in the home. And and I'm sure, what did I say? I have an easier time in Walmart now than I do, we don't go to Walmart, in Costco, than I do going to my house for an hour. I'm not being hated. I'm not hating on anyone in my family.
No, it has nothing to do with that. This was just a particularly hard day. Yeah.
But this has to be a preview of the frequency mismatch because I feel compassionate in so many ways that I'm crying about it. Like I want to help.
Yeah, but you know what, Frank? To be honest, we've been riding a wave with Grandma for months now, and it's taken its toll on everyone. The highs and the lows, and now this week happens to be a high for her. You come into the house, you wouldn't even think she was sick. The woman was sick. If you didn't see the hospital bed, you would never even know the woman was sick.
She was sitting in the front door, in the front room.
Playing cards.
Yeah, yesterday when I went to the house, y'all would have never believed this. My grandmother was playing the lady that helps her.
Yeah, rummy. She was playing rummy.
She was winning. And I'm like, what's going on here?
But that's it. It's been a wave. It's been coming in waves like that. So just like the highs are these wonderful waves, the lows are just as bad. And it's been like this since March. And that's rough. That's a long time to be hanging on by a thread. And I think everyone is I think we've just, and I hate to even say it, but I think we've just reached the end, like enough is enough now. And I think it's definitely taken its toll on everyone. I know I personally feel it, and I can go, I'm a trooper, and I personally feel it. It's been a rough couple of months. So I could understand that, now, wanting to disconnect for just a short time.
About this whole
I know, you
thing.
feel guilty. It's terrible.
And all I can say is to anyone that's going through this, perhaps like I couldn't handle the fire truck passing the house before.
No, you had a whole breakdown over it.
I was standing outside and the wind was hitting me and I feel this weird solar wind, like it's not regular wind. The clouds were giant normal clouds. To me, they all look like spaceships on whatever. They're all flat bottom coming through really low. And it's like you can't pick a temperature. Is it hot? Is it cold? What are you doing? Is the sun out? Is it in? Are we going to rain for another week? Why don't you pick something and stick to it, you son of a bitch, right? And I'm out there trying to ground and breathe, and all I hear is the car horns. Like, for some reason, they're like 100% louder than they've ever been. Then the fire truck passed, and I completely lost it. I was like, I heard them coming from blocks away, and then they were like a mile away, and I tried to stay outside, and the sound would leave eventually because they'd go all the way down. And I'm like, whoever that is, I hope you save them. I hope you save them, but please shut that off. It's killing. And I ran in the house with my hands over my ears. And then I laid down on the couch and put my headphones on and was blasting mantras, like just relaxing meditation music. And the things I was seeing, it was like beings in the room, preparing things. And then I pressed really hard on my eyes to get like complete total blackness, and boom, the grid's right there. And you have all these things happening at once. And you're like, oh, just breathe. So none of this is easy. Maybe for some of you it'll get a little easier. But putting in the work and then saying I'm in 100%. There's something to that makes it brutal at times. Like, brutal. And then really all it is emotional energy output. Right? That's really all it is.
But that is what it is.
So is there anything wrong? Or is it just all that stuff just kind of crammed in? Right? So nobody's bad. They're just doing what they do. You're the one that stepped out.
Because you're the one that's different now. You have to understand that. And that's what this entire talk is about. And that's what this entire show is about. And the FearLess room and our FearLess family. It's for exactly this. People who love their families, but they're the only one in their family that knows something else is going on. They're talking about it in the chat room now. Disclosure. Things that are hidden in plain sight. Things that are just hidden for us to discover with more disclosure. And that's basically what it is. So there are hundreds of us, maybe thousands of us, who feel the same way. We love our families. We love being with them. We love being around them. But the way they've done things is the way they've always done things. And the way they think is the way they've always thought about things. And there's a different way to approach ideas now. There's a different way to look at things that are going on and say, you know what? I don't have to conform to that. I can do this my way. I don't have to work, working a 40-hour week in a corporate position doesn't make me any better than anyone else. Or,
Agreed.
being a teacher or not living your dream. Some people just want to wake up every morning. There is no big dream. There's a dream just to get through the end of the day. Nothing, it's like false ambition. And it's a lot. But there has been a lot going on, and you have to give yourself credit for that too. There has been a lot going on. A lot of family-centric problems, a lot of family-centric issues for everyone. You talk to, how many people do you talk to a day that are telling you very similar stories to what you're going through every day?
Yes. All day.
All day long.
Everyone's got the story now that I speak to. There's no one that I would talk to that doesn't have it because I'm not interested. That's just how it's going to be for a while. I won't say forever. Like, I almost feel like I don't want to help because I don't want to get dirty again.
You don't want the attachment. You'll help, but you don't want
I know. I'm just.
You don't want that
emotional
attachment that comes with it.
Right now, it's so difficult. Like
it's a lot of stimulation now. A lot going on right now with everybody. Everyone is going through it.
And it's funny because you can do the work for you, and you could then start thinking you can help others, and then you go through this horrible moment of realizing that no matter how much you help someone, if they're not willing to help themselves and they're just relying on you, whatever it is you're trying to do to help them you're not wasting your time because it turns into practice for that person, but you're going to suffer some big consequences.
You are, because they have to do it themselves.
You notice that you'll be like, well, I kind of have experience in that, so I can speak on it now. Right?
But
the more you try to help, and the arms that come out, it's like, look, I want to help you, but really all you're doing is like.
Look, my sister's going through the same thing we are with the cats, right? We feed the stray cats, and we know we're not supposed to, but we sometimes do it anyway. And I have to be very careful about what I say because I don't know who's listening. But my sister's going through the same thing too now. Her landlord told her, if you don't stop feeding these cats, you cannot live here anymore. And she was heartbroken.
All right.
Heartbroken.
All I'm hearing is stories of compassion and stories of so much no compassion. It is absolutely stunning how many people truly hate animals. I mean, I know we all know people hate people, and we got a problem with that. But our thing is animals, right? I've heard in the last 2 weeks, I don't want to hear about that garbage. I'm not compassionate towards that. I don't have time for that. And stuff like you just said.
Yeah. Yeah,
you're gonna have to leave if you feed a cat, but in an area, mind you, infested with rats.
Right. So the cats are doing their job. They're keeping all the rodents away. But that's another story entirely. But it's two opposite ends of the coin. So we're dealing with the discompassionate people who hate these animals, or just the discompassionate people in general. And then you're dealing with people who are showing true passion, just trying to do something good. Like we were joking the other day, Frankie, growing up as a teenager, he was in fights all the time and, in and out of trouble. And he had to move out of New York basically because he was afraid he was going to get killed. And, and now you look at Frankie and his biggest offense is feeding a squirrel outside, and it's so funny. It's like, however, I want to thank everyone. Frank and I saved we tried to save a bird the other day, and we did, and then we were able to release her because she was able to fly.
Our cats went on a murder spree and got into a nest. I don't know what they were doing, but this one bird let out a scream that got us out of pretty much falling asleep on the couch to run outside. You woke me up. I thought I was dreaming of that scream. That was a scream to me. That wasn't a bird.
No, I know.
And then when it stopped, I got nervous because that's, it's weird. Those are anyone who has experience with this knows when the screaming stops, there's a finality going on.
Oh yeah.
When I was in a brawl in the street, right, there were 2 times. One thing went off, and then this guy got hit with a bat, and there was 30 people fighting. Everyone stopped. and just ran in other directions.
Well,
Just
that's
stopped
when the
and
shit
ran,
gets real.
right? Then when I got stabbed, I was fighting 5 guys, and then it started by the car, and I was like trying to shout them off of me while I was fighting them back, and then I got stabbed, and everything got like hush quiet, right? And then that's when I was like, yo, get me to a hospital now. Like, it was fucked up. And now how opposite we are.
But that's my whole point. You know, like this your biggest defense now is like feeding the birds.
No, I know.
Feeding
So we
the
get
squirrels.
outside and rescue the bird and take care of it. Paul is the ultimate mama. And we were able to release. And you know what's funny? Rihanna, shout outs to Woodland Lawn Creations. She had birds in a nest.
Oh, yeah, and
a
her fake tree.
And didn't know really what to feed them and do stuff. And then she was able to take care of her business with them. And then they kind of did their thing.
Yeah.
As birds,
And then they flew away.
off,
Yeah.
You know, but you choose to hear the call. Like we
Yeah,
could have stayed sleeping
or
on the
you
couch.
don't. And that's up to you. And it doesn't make you a bad person if you don't. But if I choose to, don't look at me like I'm a bad person. Do you know what I mean? Let me do my thing. Leave me alone. I don't care about what you're doing. Don't worry about what I'm doing.
Right. And you know what? These choices are going to present themselves to us head on now.
I know. Well,
right?
that's
Like
what's
it's gonna
happening.
happen in a moment's notice while you're in the bathroom and you're like, I don't even have time to wipe myself. I got to run out and save the day.
Well, it's a call to action like you talk about.
Call to action. All right. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll be back after the quick messages. And we're going to keep the conversation going. Why? Because it's what we do here at FearLess. Peace.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
You're listening to Truth Frequency Radio.
We are TFR.
Am I awake or is this a dream? It's a dream. It's a dream. A fantasy where I'd rather be. So come and talk with me. Come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this. I'm trapped in this world. World alive until you felt my pain. The circus in my mind.
And somehow, just like that, energy starts to remanifest itself, which is proving my point. I literally, shout outs to Kevin, by the way, I feel you guys out there, right? Like when I think about everyone listening and the FearLess family and just, you know, it's just on all the time. So when I'm live with you, I feel like I'm just there with you already, but I started shaking really bad right after I purged pretty much. There was like that whole half hour I was shaking really bad. And I realized, again, I'm going back up in frequency. And everyone came to meet me, send me the energy to follow it.
Oh, I
back
think
up.
so.
No, I know so. We have
I know
the
so.
Starship FearLess. We
I
call
think
it
so,
the
yeah.
light ship that
People
we
are hearing
created.
what we're saying. They're sending you love. You're feeling it. And, you know, whatever else you need.
Yes, and I want to just say thank you for that. And so it just proves another point. I love the higher frequency. I dislike the lower frequency a lot. I don't want to say I hate it, but I don't like it.
Can't stay there anymore. You don't belong there.
Right. We got to learn as a group of creator beings, light beings, how to really hypercharge and keep our space at this high frequency and then bungee back in. I know we bring the light ship down and around, but there are times when you can't make the call to action. I guess that's going to be erased soon, because if I can connect to you etherically, then I could make the call.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. See, we learn right live on air as well, too. It's all part of the journey and the craziness. But yeah, it proves my point. I'm getting used to the higher frequency because when we ride that, it's just better. It's a better life. You feel better. Your heart beats in rhythm. Your awareness goes up. Things begin to happen on another layer, on another level, right? So, what's going on?
No.
Oh, you kidding me?
I don't even believe this.
So, see, even during the show. So we got to just keep in mind that this is the kind of stuff that's going to happen. And we're going to have to just roll through it at such a high frequency that a wave maybe hits them instead of us, forcing them up a step. Because mindlessness just brings more mindlessness, right? You get more people watching the game, more people are just interested in the numbers in the game. Man, it's the game, bro. Don't you care about the game? Game. I'm just like, no, I really don't. I really don't care anymore. I'm kind of at a loss for words at the amount of stuff that's been thrown at me today. If I was ever going to pick up a microphone and throw it, it was about 5 seconds ago. So we're all doing it, and we all go through it. We all have to deal with it. And it's the kind of stuff that I guess we're here to fix. We're here to
try
learn how to not have an emotional outburst.
Every time something like that happens.
Control yourself. Right? Like when I got hurt here, it got really bad here in the neighborhood, and I had to I didn't have to run. I felt like the neighborhood got bad, and that it's just a matter of time because people started getting shot, and just to get shot. It's like, when did that start happening? So it's not like that anymore. But I ran to Florida, and I wound up in the same situations, and then in jail. Because
you took yourself with you.
That's exactly it. I took all that, and you can't run away from your problem.
I'm sorry. It's the same thing as, being in relationships. If you didn't learn from your previous relationship, you're going to make exactly the same mistake, but this guy's got a different face. It's the same thing. You can't do that. You have to stop, and you have to really look at yourself and say, how much of this is self-created? How much of this is me putting all of this stuff on me that has nothing to do with you?
Yes.
I
blamed a lot of people for things back then.
Of course.
A lot. I was like, it's your fault this doesn't work. And here's how I'm going to bring it around, too, just to keep it simple. Today, I realized this morning when I got up, I have to be a writer, a producer, an artist. I'm terrible at art. A production designer, the guy that writes up the stories, the guy that takes the video, the guy that's in the video, the animation that goes in the video, the music that goes in the video. It all has to be me. So I have to learn everything. And it's kind of freaking me out.
Yeah, but look at what a great job you did.
No, I know. This is what we're doing, though.
Yes.
I went from I'm blaming everyone for everything.
Yeah.
Let's just say everyone for everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's your fault this happened. It's your fault. Like my dad used to do that. Well, it's your fault I had to do this. And I'm like, well, it's the only thing you ever had to do. So, but it's always, you're just always flicking it.
Pointing a finger.
And you're never facing it. You're just throwing the ball you're lobbing it into someone else's court, to the point where we are years later, where I'm like, I'm just going to take the responsibility because I can just do it. Then it's the grinding your teeth part. I see, we can do this. It's already been planned. We know it can be done. I've seen the success.
Everything we do here is a success. It may be a failure at one point, but then when we try again, it's a success. Everything. Because there's no reason it should fail. There's no reason in my mind it should fail. There's no physical reason anyone could give me that it should fail. And that's just how I feel about that.
Yes. But it's a coming of age thing where you go, the amount of energy and time and effort. And then all of a sudden things speed up from there. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Because you learn what you're doing and you start mastering your stuff.
Exactly.
Right? Kind of like when the first demon came out in this house. I had no clue.
It was a horrifying
I had
experience.
no clue. Look, I'm getting emotional about it because I was like, what's happening? What is this? And then it grabbed me and moved me like 2 feet back. I tried to push forward against it, and I went, I didn't know they could do that. I didn't know.
But you don't feel that way.
Christy was screaming bloody murder. Right? She put her arm up, and it grabbed her arm, and I never heard someone... I was like, yo, I'm getting choked out over here, and I'm yelling at you. You better shut up before the cops come, because how do we explain this?
But then it was okay.
And then the guy on the floor says, I said, do you believe now? And he goes, yeah. I go, you want help? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you got to let that thing go, man. And he was like making deals with it and shit.
And
like,
then we got it to go away, and everything was fine.
Oh, now we just smash.
Right. Now that's not a problem anymore because
Now
you've done
it's
it
just
a few hundred times.
No, I know. So it becomes a hand flick.
Yeah.
Like, not today, sir. And it just flies out.
Right.
Just remember, whatever it is you do with people to help people, make sure you ground yourself. Don't take their stuff onto you. Transmute it. Don't eat it.
No, get rid of it. Get rid of it.
Open a portal to the central sun and just send it in like it's being sucked through a vacuum cleaner through a portal.
But that's even on us. Our guilt and our shame and our whatever, our insecurities. Don't eat it. Let it go. Don't hang on. You've hung on to it this long. What good has it served you? None.
So it is like this spiral staircase upward.
There's no room. We talk
No
about the
matter
funnel,
whether you
and
call
we
it
talk
ascension or
about
not.
Yeah, we talk about it.
You're going up.
There's no room to keep all that shit. There's no room. Frank and I had to do anot's purge. I got rid of luggage this time. I got rid of a comforter and pillows.
See how much stuff Paula ever got rid of. You'd be like, wow, what's going on?
And all
here?
of that stuff, I remember begging, borrowing, pleading, saving to get the money to get that thing that I thought I needed so badly that I'm so happy to donate now. And someone took the luggage, and someone took the comforter, and someone even took those pillows. But whatever, I'm happy. But you can't hold on to it. And people are going to be like, oh, it's easier said than done. I have to live and breathe what I say also. I was down for 3 days this week. 3 days. I lost Tuesday completely. I don't even know what happened to Tuesday. And, I owned it. I said, this is how it's going to be. I'm not going to push myself any harder to get out of this spiral. I let it happen. I got on the wave and I floated through it. It wasn't easy, some parts. Some parts were very easy. And, but what am I going to do? I was down. I couldn't do anything. It was like the universe was going, nope, just sit down. You think you want to do that, but just sit down, and I have to take this, we look for the signs and we ask for signs and we see signs. Well, that was the sign that was telling me you're doing nothing. You say that's when I say nothing, do nothing. And that's exactly what I did for 3 days.
I've tried to fight it a few times. I got punched in my grill just trying to knock out a bunch of stuff in one day, and then realizing it's not going to work out. And I tried, and all it did is made me pass out at 11:30. Like, I never went to sleep at. I don't remember the last time I went to sleep at 11:30.
I know, and you slept the whole night.
And then I slept till the next afternoon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that was a good sleep, and I'm never doing that again.
But you can't fight. You can't fight it all the time, and you can't take that with you. So you have to let that go. You talked earlier about.
It's basically emotional. I'm trying to put this together because I know when I'm straight and my mind is back to 100%, it's going to be logically just easy for me to talk about.
Well, you're working it out right now as it's happening. It just happened
just
a minute and a half before we started the show. This just happened.
Emotions play a huge role of getting in the way of everything that we try to do.
Absolutely. Well, that's the problem. It's either a technical issue or something someone says or does, or just to what? To wreak havoc, to start breaking everything down, because they don't want the message, the information getting out. They don't want us talking about what we're supposed to talk about.
It is true that the crazier looks more crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
it starts to look
someone
more
may
good.
walk away with a grain of truth that they heard tonight. Or someone may walk away and say, wow, that resonates with me.
No, I know this is if it's happening to me and it happened to you and we're discussing it, that means it's happening or is going to. If it hasn't happened to you yet, I think every single one of us could make a connection to the references that we're talking about, because it's either family or stuff we have stuffed in the closet that we don't even use anymore that we thought was going to be the greatest thing. Man, if I just had that friggin' bong, me and that bong could go off into the wilderness and we could live together, and I'll make a campfire and just grow my own weed, right? And then you get the bong and then you put it up on the thing until you see the next bong.
Right.
And then that becomes clutter. And I'm just using a bong as an example.
Oh my goodness, I think so. I think they heard you purging on the mic must have been hot before the show.
Wow. Yeah, sometimes.
Why does that happen all the time?
I don't know. It would I don't mind, because there's just reality happening here, right? Like, the best thing about being in the truth frequency is you just got to say it for what it is.
But you do.
We don't sit here and bullshit each other.
No,
at all.
I mean, literally during the show, like 6 cats came to the kitchen window.
I've never seen.
I think they were all checking on Frank to make sure Frank was okay.
They jumped up on the counter over here.
It's very strange here.
Look, it looks like a pie eating contest.
Yeah, that's what I was saying during the break.
And she just had plates lined up.
Exactly.
Right, so
people are sending memes now.
Emotions rise up from, let's say, chakra points, the main 7, depending on what it is. If it's a money issue.
Oh, that came from your circle
mind.
chakra,
Yeah,
definitely.
No, this came low. This was low. All right, so sexual issues or trauma of some kind. It's your red chakra. It's your lowest chakra. Traumas with maybe people making fun of you and then you holding judgment on them, and you be getting dark with it, and it's coming out of your yellow. Like, each one, you watch someone and it crushes your heart and you're like, I love you, just die, right? Like, listen, you say things you can't take back. Your throat chakra. Yes. All right. Anyway, so these emotions are coming from these areas. Why do I know this? Because I'm experiencing them as individual things coming through as, example, 7 deadly sins. Each one of them comes from a chakra that you harbor.
I can see that.
Right? So it's the 7 chakras. The deep, darker stuff is the 7 deadly sins. Why do you think Shazam battles them? Right? He's the one kid with the imagination to do it and transforms with a magic word, Shazam, and then fights off the 7 deadly sins with the wisdom of Solomon, right? It's just, all I'm saying is, let's view this as, if we can control this a little bit, control a lot, actually, but not become a robot, but an observer of a new kind, something we haven't, maybe it hurts so much because we're just supposed to be this, but we haven't been it in the human body.
But it does hurt. It physically hurts. And it hurts emotionally because it's childhood trauma. And if we didn't have so much childhood trauma, we wouldn't have issues in our lives. Because going back to it, like when you're dating the same person over and over again and you blame them for everything, and you don't take responsibility. Yeah.
And you blame them every time, but you're the one that has the pattern.
Yeah. You're the one with the pattern.
Yeah.
And everyone else sees the pattern but you. You know?
You're going to want to listen to it. Right? You try to tell someone in 3D world, you're like, hey, check this out. And they go, shut up.
I'm the first to say it. After my last bad relationship, I ran and hid. I didn't look at a man for 2 years after I was out of that relationship. And I didn't date for 8 years or maybe even longer. I didn't date anyone because I didn't want to repeat the same pattern. I didn't want to live the same life in a different apartment with a different guy. And I meant that. I really did. That's why when Frank and I met, it's such a joke, because he was done and I was, done. I was resigned that I was going to spend the rest of my life single. And I was okay with that. I really was. And, then I met Frank.
We talk about how the deception against us is also a heist of us versus them.
And we had no
Right.
issues. No prior issues ever came up.
We, I have this thing, I had, excuse me, in a past life experience I had a recurring nightmare for many years. And it was like every night for years. I was an Asian lady, and it was like in the past, like a long time ago, that you're only wearing something over your head, like with a cutout, and then you have to use rope to tie it around your waist. So it's just like one piece thing. And I go run out into the street, and I grab this guy who I realize is my husband. I feel love, but anger. And I accuse him of cheating on me. And then he says, "What? You cheated on me?" And turns around and stabs me to death. Holds me down in front of everyone, and nobody helps. And I was like, no joke, 80 pounds. And I was like, what are you doing? And it was the worst. It's the worst way to get scumbagged by somebody, is to have the closest one to you be that person, but so blatantly, and then they turn on you, and you're like, and then kill you.
Oh, I can understand
in front of
that.
everyone, and not one person. People were like, whatever. Okay, so from that, there's jokes about it. Like, I was afraid of Asians, and then when I was in Heist Click, well, I'm still in Heist Click, but my guy would take me around like Comic-Con and stuff, and then he would be hitting me off. Oh, here's Frank Castle. Oh, it's Heist Click. And then they brought me on the stairs, and they trapped me on the escalator, and they brought there's like 100 Asians straight from China. And they were all wearing black suits and stuff. And they had the glasses, and they had the cameras, and they came around the turn, and my producers and all that, they all knew. So they were making a joke to me, and they rushed me and cornered me, and they were grabbing me and stuff, and I flipped my shit. But I was at Comic-Con, so I couldn't punch anyone or not. Like, they're taking my picture, so I'm like, all right, everyone, back up. And then I just made my way out of there. All right, so the deception. Check this out. You're half Korean.
Yeah.
Okay. Up to the point where I drank Aya and straightened all my business out, I would have never talked to you.
I know.
But you're everything else, top to bottom, exactly the profile that fits everyone I've ever dated except you. So what they do is they take the perfect one, and you come in here this way, I come in here this way. We lived how close?
A mile and a half.
A mile and a half. Are your friends my friends?
Yeah.
We all know the same people. I never met her.
Yep.
Would never even consider it. For those little nuances they do to us creators from the Soul Families and the Twin Flames or whatever, they mismatch it on purpose. Or, here's the flip. Since it's a deception and they think it haha on them, I said this the last time, if time is a sphere and we're all coming from out of time into the sphere of the matrix time here on Earth, and we're creator beings, we're greater than any deceiver on any level. Thus knowing if they jump back in time, because this was a time thing they did to us, to lay in the matrix of deception. All right, we think it's a couple of 100 years, maybe. It's thousands and thousands of years.
And thousands of years. But that's the idea. You hide everything in plain sight.
So they went back early and threw a wrap around us, and then we're seeing their version of the Matrix where they could program us and stuff. But as creator beings, we got here first, inserted, knowing they're going to do X, Y, and Z to us to promote their deception. But we're with amnesia on this side, outplaying them. But we have to lose the game to win the entire. We have to lose all the like little battles to win the overall arching war. I don't like calling it a war, but it's like that at that point it's the game, right? But it's checkmate, because as we wake up,
right,
I mean, they're trying everything.
You stop playing, right? You stop playing, and you pick up your ball and you go home. You stop playing.
Because we don't like this game.
You don't, and you don't have to play.
Who told us we had to do this? I used to tell my mother that when we were a kid. Who told you that? when I would ask her a question about stuff and she'd answer me, or my father would say something to me, and I'm like, where did you get that information from? Because it sounds like you made that shit up, or you're just
why can't you change the rules?
Yeah. Well, that's not how it works. And if you don't get up in a hard day's work, hey, listen, I didn't come here to be someone's slave.
No.
I came here to free a mind,
But that's it. It's like acceptance of what it is. You know what I mean? You can't, we're not saying that you live this life and, you believe that there can be more for you and you're willing to give certain things up to have it. Not that you should have to give anything up, but you are free to make your own choices once you realize the choice is mine. It truly is my choice.
It's all your choice.
Yeah. I don't have to be unhappy if I don't want to be unhappy anymore. I don't have to feel guilty about things anymore. I don't have to be anything I don't want to be. Like I said,
you could remove all the masks.
You can just let it go.
Just let it go.
Like I said to Frank, and I felt a little guilty about it.
I'm like that. Just remove it. Not
but
like that. No.
But I don't, because look what happened. We're having a problem with the stray cats, and we're trying to feed them less food, and Frank and I are fighting over how much money we're spending in cat food every month, and it's becoming like an issue for us. And we like to resolve those issues quickly. And he has one thought and I have another thought, and and basically what's going to happen is these animals are going to get fed one way or another, and it's going to continue to be an issue. So, we got this bird, and I released this bird yesterday, and I'm hoping that this bird is okay. I mean, I'm sure he'll come back once,
The bird is fine.
I'm hoping. Sure. I didn't get a feeling
birds
came to greet him. Yeah. So I don't think anything happened, and I don't like to have things be an issue with Frank. Anything, we try to talk about what's going on.
We confront it and try to stay abreast of a wave crashing on us.
We were talking about letting this bird go, and I said to Frank, honestly, I'm relieved because I don't want another thing to take care of.
Because we're taking the problem is there is a button of overload. I want to take care of all of them.
Yeah, but you can't.
Fantasy and there's reality at the moment.
And I have to be realistic.
We need solutions then at that point. It has to be solution based.
But that's what it is. And
mathematical and logical with it. Say that's it.
That's the point. I declared it yesterday, and today we used a lot less cat food.
You said something the other day. It's my job to keep you alive.
Yeah, but
not to make you fat.
Not to make you fat.
Yeah. So there is a point, even as a creator, right, where just love, you have to back it up and go, okay, I love you, and I'm going to keep you all alive and living. You're going to all be okay. But
and I'm cool with that. And you know what?
Not going into debt to keep the neighborhood alive.
Exactly. And the chat room lady, I agree with you. That they are also bringing us energy, and they're taking all the bad energy away, because I've seen my house cat Oscar do that. When there's a lot of
he goes outside.
When there's a lot of energy in the house, he'll go outside and purge, and then he'll eat some grass, and then he'll come back. And I know it's not anything he ate. I know it's the energy in the house, or it's the energy, something that's going on with the family. So definitely, I agree with that 100%.
We're in a holographic reality.
Yeah.
Everyone.
So these cats, there's no coincidence these cats are coming by.
Yes. Our consciousness is pulling it all towards us. There's actually nothing wrong with those crazy emotions.
Yeah.
So let's get a grip on those emotions, Fearless family. Love you guys. My name is Frank Castle, Sorcerer Supreme. I'm here with my ethereal translator, Paula Milo, and we are your protection from deception. I am wearefearless.com. I am wearefearless.com.